Quick sound check. Quick sound check. Quick sound check. Check, check. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. And thank you all, for joining into this special webcast we are doing on the outlook, for the Nifty, the Bank Nifty, the indices in general, for what is promising to be a volatile week of trading, right? So today, basically, to put it in very simple words, was an inside day in the markets. That's both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, and we're going to be talking more about it. And what really happened today was there's a saying in the market, right, that what begins on a Friday ends on a Monday, and we saw evidence of that today working out practically in the market. So the down move has begun from Friday. And if you've been following me on my X account, I spoke to you about those big selling bars, which had come in the first 90 minutes. Now, granted, they closed at the session lows on Friday, but the higher open, was again used to sell into the market, and we saw a lot of sell-side activity coming in. Now, this is definitely a change from what we've been seeing in the market. From the evidence of what we are seeing in the order flow, the amount of selling is a little bit more on the higher side, right? So that is what is sticking out, for the month of May, actually. And the second evidence is in the form of the VIX, the volatility index, which is breached, above that 16.5 mark today, right? So that's something, which we have not seen at least this year and most of the last year as well. So the VIX is rising. The volatility is going to go up, and we know the VIX is going to rise, because we have an election event up ahead to be taken care of. But what is in store for us? We are not going to be going too far into the end of the May and end of May and the end of the month settlement. But what we want to be focusing on is what is going to happen in the markets in the next few days, right, up until Friday or early next Monday. And we break it down a week at a time. We break it down a day within that week, and that helps us to get a better position on what the market is wanting to do and is expected to do over the course of the next few days, right? So my colleague Uttam is doing all these wonderful reports, and I'm not sure whether all of you have got the chance of going through those reports, but I asked of him to come over here and talk to us about what he sees in the market. Now, Uttam has been doing these reports for the past 7 to 8 years. So it's not something which we started 7 months back or 7 weeks back or even 7 days back. It's an ongoing process for us at WeTrender to pick up information from the market and to utilize this information to monetize this information which is given to us. So he's been doing these weekly posts, and he always comes up with these daily posts, and I personally look forward to them, because there are important points which you can pick up about the market from these reports. Now he's going to walk us through how we understand the market is placed for the duration of the week. See, there are only about two things which we look at to broadly describe the work which we do. One is to understand the structure of the market. Now, the structure is actually the building, the foundation, how it is built, and that foundation is actually built by the role of buyers and the role of sellers, right? That is the demand and supply we speak about in the market at all times, and there's nothing else to it. Right? Now, this structure is currently being dominated by buyers or by sellers is what we decide. And that is understanding the profile, understanding the structure to know what the market is wanting to do. The second aspect of what we do is understanding and analyzing the data live. Right? So we have a saying at WeTrender that the markets open every day, just to give you an opportunity to adjust your position. And the reason, okay, they open every day is because yesterday's data is redundant, right? It's just like yesterday's newspaper. It's gone, okay, into the trash can. Yesterday's news gone. Okay, what the world focuses on is what is happening right now. So the same thing, okay, about our markets. A lot of people, okay, focus a lot on what has happened in the past, and that is not important. What is happening right now is going to decide what is going to happen in the future. So our focus is on the information which is coming in at the moment, what the information is coming in right now. And if this information was not important, then the exchange, okay, had no job, okay, to keep itself open, right? The whole purpose of the exchange remaining open from 9:15 to 3:30 p.m. is for you to adjust your positions, is for you to adjust, okay, what the market is telling you, and to make sure, okay, that you are in sync with what the market is stating at every single point in time. Had that not been the case, then, okay, you would have said, okay, that last Monday's data is valid even today, and you can work on last Monday's data. But that is not important, right? What is important is what is happening in the current, right? So we are seeing, okay, something different in the markets from Friday. There has been a major move lower, which has begun on Friday. Will it continue? What's in store, okay, for the coming week? And we're going to be narrowing it down, okay, to what can happen over the next 3 or 4 days. So Monday is gone. No point, okay, talking about what has happened in Monday. No point talking about what has happened in Friday. But we're going to be able to monetize the information better by being a little bit more prepared as to what can possibly happen on this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And they say that the more prepared you are, the more, okay, you can make money from the market, the more, okay, you can monetize the information from the market, right? So Uttam is here. He's going to be talking to us, okay, about what he sees in the market, okay, through the rest of this week. And it's very important, okay, that you pay a listen to what he has to say, because like I said, preparation is half of the job in the markets. You've got to be aware of all the possibilities and what can potentially, okay, work out in the markets, right? So I'll hand it over to him, and we'll want to him to talk to us about what he sees in the market, why the market profile and the order flow, what has happened, what can happen is what we're going to be focusing on. And you keep your questions, okay, coming in. I'll join you in the text chat, and if there is, okay, something needed to be added, I will join you in the text chat and add from there also. Right, so I'll hand it over to Uttam. He's going to join in, and he's going to be walking us through the rest of this program. Uttam,
Thank you,
yeah.
Shai, and good evening, everyone. Yes, Shai. Thank you so much for the kind word, Shai. And as Shai mentioned, we have these weekly reports which go out at WeTrender because we believe in having a top to bottom approach, and we take the latest information. So as and when a calendar month gets over, we have a monthly post which goes out, which marks out the important monthly references, and then we have the weekly post which is right now on screen, and then we have the daily report. So we mark it as per that, and we accordingly look for market auction in that direction. So what you have on screen is the latest weekly report, which is from 29th April to 3rd May, which got over last Friday. And here we have a small write up about what happened in the previous week. As you can see in this chart, this is the weekly profile, and this have been divided into the daily profile, last week's action. So as we can see, last Monday we made a move away to the upside, moving away from this weekly value. So in market profile, we look at value and not price, and we do that on all time frames. So as we moved away from this weekly value, it was very clear that our objective would be this weekly POC from 8th of April to 12th of April week, which was 22701. So we went on to tag that, and what we saw is on 30th April, when we made those new all-time highs, we saw the return of selling, and it was not just a small selling, because we got a very big liquidation move into the close. So that was the first sign that it was not a one-way market. And then after the narrow range balance on second, which kind of completed what had started on 30th, we again gapped higher on third, but these all-time highs again got rejected and we had a trend day down. So what we did was, because we could not find any demand above this week's value, we got back into this previous week's value and closed around the prominent POC of last week, which was at 22397. So what we do in this report is we discuss about what happened in the week prior, and then we have this information about what the structure was. So we had formed a neutral extreme weekly profile on the downside in Nifty futures, though the value was completely higher. So compared to previous week, the value was higher, but we could not sustain that value. In the sense, we closed lower. We closed around the value area low. So we have these references which are marked, which was 22583 was our first reference on the upside. And then above that, we have the weekly POC of 22682 and then the selling tail of 22778. And on the downside, we have 22457, which was the April month's POC as our first support, below which we have these two references for this week going forward. So how do we construct this weekly chart? So I'll just quickly move on to a VTrender normal chart section. This is the Nifty spot chart of the daily time frame. So how do we convert this to a weekly reference, where we have the calendar week, the current weekly series, the month calendar month, and the monthly series? So for spot, we go with the calendar week and the calendar month, and for futures, we go with the weekly series and the monthly series, because futures has a different settlement date. So what we do is Nifty spot TPO chart, and we go to the calendar week. So when we click on this is how we can form the weekly chart of Nifty spot. So what I'll do is I'll just convert this into a two screen mode so that we can have the weekly chart on one side and the right hand side. So now, so this is today's profile for now, so that now it'll be clear that this is what happened at the close of last week. So this was the weekly profile. We have closed around the weekly, uh, well below the weekly value. 22475 was the close, and we had these hypos which are marked for today. We update these hypos on a daily basis. So for today, these were the hypos, and these hypos are derived on the daily and the weekly references. So on the upside, we had this first reference as 22490, which was the POC of Friday, which is this. So this was our first reference on the upside. Above this, we had this pullback high of 22548 and this zone of singles in the E period. And then we had the seaside singles of 226442, 22648. So this again, point to note here is the rollover point of the May series was at 22648, and right there we have left a zone of singles. So that shows us the sellers were very dominant on Friday. So this is what the upside, and 22583 was the extension handle. This was the extension handle which was left in the E period. So what we did today was we opened higher, and we made a high of 22588. So if I take off the weekly profile and just split this chart, you can see how the entry into this weekly value is got rejected today. And on the daily time frame, we had that reference of 22583, which is not sustained. So that means the seller from Friday was still fighting this level, and he managed to push it lower, making a new low in the B period. So once the B period low was made, again the bounce in the D period stalled right at that value area low of previous week. So this is giving you more confirmation that the seller is not allowing the auction to get back into this weekly value. So this is where the weekly charts give you a good bias for the week ahead. So as long as this holds, this A period tail of today holds, we are looking for more downside in the remaining of this week. So what happens is once we form the weekly value, weekly profile is done, we can in spot, because we don't have VWAP because of no value volumes, we can make a note of this POC. 22682 is a POC, and we can create a custom KRL and mark it, because this particular line would be important for the entire week, and we will see what the auction is doing related to this POC. If we are below this, we would look for more downside in the week. If we are above this, we would look for upside in the week. So this you can do on every week to week basis, because we go with the latest information. We will have the latest last week's value and POC as our reference. And of course, the POCs and values which have not been tagged of previous weeks would also serve to be important references. POC of 22137 was not tagged. So these get extended automatically on the right side. So this will serve as important objectives once the auction is moving in that direction. So just like last week, once we were not able to find demand above this new highs, this previous 80 edge, we got back into previous week value and tagged the POC of 22397. So that is how we look out on the weekly structure, and we see what is happening and take it day by day. So now today is over. Today what we have done is we have formed a normal day, which is an inside bar, and even the value is inside previous value. So what is the uh, outlook for tomorrow? So as I said, we'll take day by day. So for tomorrow, we'll take it, and then we will look for the week ahead. Week ahead, I've already mentioned, as long as we are staying below this POC, we are looking for downside. And now because of this rejection at previous value area low, this becomes our new reference, the first reference on the upside. So till the time we are below this 22542, we look for these levels to be tagged. And we can see we have a low volume zone of this weekly profile, and below this zone this yellow dotted line is the VWAP of the April series, which is 22402. So any close below 22402 on a daily basis will lead to a fill up of this zone, and we can also go on to tag this 22137 downside VPOC of the week from 15th April to 19th April. So this is how we will take it day by day and see what new references have been marked. So for today, we have this POC at 22446, which would be our immediate level to watch at for tomorrow. So tomorrow, if we remain below 22446, we are looking for more downside. As far as the upside is concerned, we need to stay above this POC, and we need to get accepted above this value of 22503. And then we, as I already mentioned, we have this selling tail of today, which comes into play. So if you want to look for uh, levels for tomorrow, our first level would be the high of the M period today, which is around 22463. And then we have this value area high of 22503 and this selling tail. This will be the most important zone. If we are able to, unless we take off this zone and get back into previous week's value, we are not bullish for this week. So that is how we will take it for here. And on the other hand, if we get accepted in this value, then we are looking for a test of this 22682 weekly POC. So that is how we will take. And acceptance is what we need to spend more time into this A period singles, and then above this, inside this value. So that is how we will look at acceptance and rejection. Rejection would be single TPOs at a zone. For example, we have single D period TPOs at 22588. So those levels, for it to get accepted, will need to form more TPOs in the coming sessions. So on the downside, what will be our objectives? So if we stay below this POC, we would remain weak. And as I said, this would be one reference. And this is also coinciding with this small buying tail from 26th of April. Below this, we are looking for this small buying tail of 3rd of May, which was 22358, and this swing low from 25th of April, which is 22305, along with this daily VPOC of 22293. So this is how we take it day on day and revise the references and see what the PLR, the path of least resistance for that particular index would be. And especially when it comes to the expiry day, we become all because it gives us lot of good trading setups. So this is as far as Nifty spot is concerned. This is how we will take it forward and moving on to the Bank Nifty spot, and then I will have a quick look at the futures and show how we can have the futures chart along with the order flow chart on one screen using the two window mode, which will help us to have both the options. This is the Bank Nifty TPO chart. So I'll quickly construct the weekly chart using the option on the bottom left, the calendar week. And here we have the weekly chart of Bank Nifty. Go back to the report and go to the Bank Nifty section so that we can see what has happened with the Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty last week started with a trend day. So as we can see, we moved away from previous week's value and we formed a huge trend day of more than 1100 points. We in fact cleared this all-time high of 49,057 and we went on to make new all-time highs of 47,473. But at the same time, what we saw was the POC had shifted to the top. So that was showing us that the buyers were booking profit. So this was profit booking, which was clearly seen. And the next day, we formed a balance, and after which we made a big move to the upside in the J period. So although we made new all-time highs, just stopping just below that 50,000 mark, it was very clear that this was more of laggard buying or short covering which caused this move, because we immediately got back into the IB and made new lows for the day. So when we are getting a neutral day, we know that there are big two big opposite players who are in the market and who are fighting against each other, defending their particular zone they are holding. So this the same thing has been explained in this brief write-up of what happened the previous week and what we can expect. So the weekly profile in Bank Nifty last week was not a neutral one, but it was a good uh, 313 type profile. Why it was a 313? It is because we had a nice balance in between and we had tails, kind of tails, not exactly single TPOs, but we had the auction spend lot less time in this zone on the top as well as the bottom. So this was more a 313 profile with elongated range of 1632 points, and we had formed completely higher value. So the value area along with the POC is given. But again, as in Nifty, this Nifty closed well below the value weekly value, but Bank Nifty was closing just around the weekly value area low. So what it has closed around the value and could fill up the zone up to 49244. So this was already mentioned in the report before the market opened today. So it was very clear from the weekly chart that if we remain above this buying extension handle, we could fill up this zone till the POC of 49244. So what happened today, and we also have these hypos which were given, and we opened higher today, and the higher open got stalled right at this 49246 level, which was also coinciding with this weekly POC of 49244. So having given you this brief you the context, I'll quickly again have this 2 window mode on in the Bank Nifty profile with the weekly on our left hand side, and the so unlike what happened in Nifty, where we saw rejection from the weekly value, Bank Nifty got accepted in the weekly value. It gave a good move, but what it did was it got rejected right at that POC of weekly value. So why the POC, as I mentioned, is an important reference. So especially when we are looking at weekly spot charts, we can mark the weekly POC and see what the auction is doing in the current week compared to last week's POC. So when we got rejected at the weekly POC in the A period, that was a sign that this reference is a good supply point now, and Bank Nifty can probe lower. And this got further confirmation in the D period, just like what happened in Nifty. The D period left a pullback high at 49230. So once again, this 49244 was not being tagged. So in fact, this pullback high and the break of the lows of D period was a good trade setup for Bank Nifty to probe lower. So this is what the Bank Nifty is looking how, and what it has done today is filled up this zone. And what we had already mentioned in the weekly report, that it could fill up the zone between this extension handle and the POC. So that is what it has done. And if we combine this and see Bank Nifty going forward. So Bank Nifty also, like Nifty, has formed a inside bar on daily, both in terms of range as well as value. As you can see on the daily chart, the value also is completely inside Friday's value. But what it has done is it has taken support above the POC of 48757. So you can see that this was also mentioned in the report, that the POC shifted lower, showing profit booking by the sellers. And this resulted in a bounce back to 48997 on Friday. So it was very clear that the sellers were booking profit on Friday into the close, and which is the reason we opened higher, and that higher selling again brought back those sellers. And they again managed to push it lower, but the low made today was 48784, sorry, which is stopped just short of that VPOC. So VPOCs are important references in market profile of all time frames. Just like I mentioned, we take the weekly POC, which is acting as a supply point now. And now here today's previous POC of 485757 was not broken today. So this will act as a support for tomorrow. And going forward, what will be our uh, references for Bank Nifty starting from tomorrow? So tomorrow, what we have done today is the POC is at 48907. So 48907 would be our reference on the downside. So if we remain below this 48907, there is very good chance that we go on to tag this VPOC of 48757 tomorrow. So this is how we will take it for tomorrow. And below this, if we get accepted, if we are spending time below this POC, then we go on to the lower levels, which is this extension handle of 48592. So this is again a very important buy side reference, which we had left on 29th of April, which was the trend day up. So this would the auction would be testing these buyers in case we get accepted below this 48757 level tomorrow. So these hypos will be updated in the weekly report and you can have access to them. But the point of today's session is to understand how and why these hypos are given, and how and why we need to update them with the latest information. So even though we follow the weekly levels, as and when the current week auction progresses, we will update these levels as per the latest information. Because now we have a selling tail at 49231. So that will be our swing reference for this week. Entire of this week, we will have that 49231 as our reference on the upside, along with this value area high high of today, which is at 49091. So this is a 2-day value area high. So definitely we will need to get going above this value for a probe higher. So the first reference for tomorrow, as in Nifty, would be our M period MTPO high, which is at 48954, and then we will have this value area high of 49091, and then as I mentioned 49231. So once we get these levels out, if we are able to sustain above this weekly POC, then we are looking for a probe higher to this TPO HVN near 49500 and looking towards the value area high. So this is how we look at the weekly chart and update ourselves on with the daily market profile chart. So as I mentioned, these reports would the hypos will get updated on a daily basis, and you can find these reports under in the forum section on the website vtrader.com. And we have the must read articles, and we have the forum. Under the forum section, you will have all these articles: the monthly report, the daily report, and the monthly report, the weekly report, and the daily report. So this is how we prepare for the days ahead, both in spot as well as futures. So as I mentioned, I'll quickly move on to the futures and how we can track the similar. So here I am going with the, sorry, May series, 30th May. So before I start with the futures, I would want to ask if there are any queries so that we can clear the queries about what we have covered so far, and then we can go get on with this futures and the order flow charts. So in case there is any query, please feel free to ask, guys. The couple of questions which were there already, I think Shai has been kind enough to answer them. So in case there are any other queries which is based on what we have covered so far, we can check with them. Else I'll move on with the futures chart. Fine. So fine. So what we have on screen is the Nifty futures chart. This is the May series, and I'm switching it to the weekly series because this is the futures chart. We need to go with the weekly series. So we have this W underscore S. So we will go with this weekly series chart. And here, this is the previous week's which we got in the week which closed on 2nd of May. So in the futures, Friday was a fresh settlement. So this is Friday was the start of a fresh week. So what did we do on Friday? We opened above this weekly value, but we did not sustain. In fact, the POC was right here at the top when this was forming. And then we got back into this weekly value and we left an extension handle, a selling extension handle. So this was indicating that it is wanting to go probe lower in this weekly value. So it went on to tag this POC and then it went on to break the VWAP. And you can see the POC and the VWAP were broken by single TPOs. So this single TPOs means it is broken in a very swift manner. So it is very aggressive player who is bringing this move. So this is an aggressive supply contracted by a negated by a opposite buying force. So that is the reason we have these references marked out even now, and weekly VPOC of 22526. This was not tagged. So as I mentioned, the same thing works on all instruments. Once it get back into a weekly value, the objectives would become the previous weekly VPOs which have not been tagged. So here you can see today's profile is formed an inside bar. So we have a 2-day barrier, and the same thing what we do as I mentioned, this POC and VWAP would be the references for this entire week. So you can see today the higher open got stalled right below this VWAP. So it was indicating that the PLR is still to the downside, and we have left a A period selling tail. So it still means that we are rejecting this weekly value of the last week settlement. So how do we confirm this with the order flow? Again, we are shifting to the two window mode. And what we need to do is, we already have Nifty on the chart. We just need to go to the order flow symbol, which is there on the top, so bottom right. So we click on the order flow chart, and we will get the particular order flow of Nifty. So now, because we are looking at the weekly time frame, we it makes sense for us to have a look at the higher time frame order flow chart, which is the 30 minutes. So on the 30-minute order flow, we'll just run through what has happened in the last 30 minutes. So this is the 30-minute order flow chart of Nifty on your right side, because in Nifty I'll switch off the global volume node. So we are looking at about this weekly value, and we got what we got was red caught in the opening 3 bar red, and this 16,595 red. So it is very clearly telling us that the sellers are piling it. And as I mentioned, the POC was right here, 22875. This HUN which got uh, uh, converted to HUN because the profit booking was seen at the close. This was the POC. That means the sellers had initiated in at this level in the morning, and they went on to hold control. So in the order flow, when we are seeing this kind of an RS plus IS pattern, and into the weekly value, we know that we are looking for these downside levels. So we keep a track of that, and we form this becomes an important reference. And then we will take the high of this new IS as our reference, and then we will take the high of this new IS as our reference till the time the VWAP is also in sync with that uh, IS bar. And then we have this 22738 as the last IS bar high from Friday. So after going to the close, we had this pullback high at 22669. We saw the POC shift to 22558 into the close. So today's auction, what did it do? Today we opened higher, but once again at the open, we could not get a good buying confirmation on the order flow. So this is as good as an RS, or you can even call it an IS bar, with the POC at 22650, and this stalling at 22698 is we had already seeing that it is not able to get above the weekly VWAP. So when we have these references marked out, you can draw KRLs on the weekly chart. We can draw KRLs using the weekly references even on the daily chart, so that we can see what the auction is doing when we are nearing that level. So when we neared that VWAP, we got an RS or an IS. So this 8 TPO POC of 22650 was where we got an RS again in the D period. So when we see the weekly chart, this D period is stalling right at the weekly value area low. So this is again giving us double confirmation that it is not only rejecting this entry into the weekly value, but here we are getting an RS. So this is a very clear sign that the auction is limited to the upside, and it is looking for more downside. So from this RS bar, we went on to pro blower, and we made new lows as well. So this is where we will need, because we did not see fresh supply in the market. So we will need, because we did not see fresh supply in the market, this zone, and this was a zone where we saw profit booking even on Friday. So unless we will have to look for IS bars in this zone for into red, as that happens. So right now what is happening is, although we are getting selling at this higher demand, so this is what we can confirm both in the market profile chart as well as order flow. And you can see why the 22520 is getting demand, because this is a prominent POC from this week. So this is where the buyers are trying to hold this POC and VWAP level. So you can see this, if this level breaks 22500, then we can look for more downsides in the Nifty futures going forward. So this is how we track the futures as well as order flow in one screen. You can have even the daily chart on the left hand side and the order flow on the right hand side. We also have a combination of having the order flow of 30 minutes on the left hand side and the order flow of 3 minutes on the right hand side. So 30 minutes gives us the bias and 3 minutes gives us the references and latest entry and uh, stop loss levels. So that is it from my side for today, guys. I will welcome any questions you guys have before we can wind up for the day. There is one question from Preeti, who is asking, why don't we take the VWAP level for consideration? Brown HVN. HVN is brown level is just HVN is nothing but high volume nodes. As we saw in the order flow, the POC on 3rd of May was right at this reference of 22875. Before it shifted, the volume shifted, the highest volume concentration shifted to the lows. And why did this happen? Because the majority of the sellers who had entered at the open on that day booked profits at a lower level. So that is the reason we saw a HVN forming at highs and the POC forming at the lows. And VWAP also, we do mark VWAP, and they are important references. As you can see, today's D period high was just below the VWAP of Friday. And Friday was a selling based day. So the VWAP of 22655 was an important sell side reference. And you can see where we got the sellers today. 22650 was that A period POC, which we were watching. And that is where we got the RS bar also in the D. There's a question from Balaji, who is asking, RS was there at previous week VWAP, but COT was green on that bar. See, we don't see COT on a day on a single bar. We look at COT over a period of 10 bars. Then we covered this aspect about COT in last week's session on Friday. That COT is not something which we track on a single bar basis. COT is something which has to be tracked on a at least last 10 bars. So any time frame you are looking, you need to see what COT has been doing over the last 10 bars. So that will give you a much better idea. So because COT includes uh, all players. So they can be players who are booking profits who have carried shorts from a higher level. So COT is one last piece of information which we are looking for. We don't trade based on COT. We trade based on market profile and order flow. And we look at COT as one small last confirmation for that setup. So in case if the COT is not matching with the view, we will uh, look at that move not sustaining and giving a retracement. So any more questions, guys? We do consider option writers data, and we have an entire option suite which consists of lot of advanced features such as the spectrum, and we have the options table. We have the gamma charts. So you can go through our YouTube channel. We have lot of videos based on how we track the option writers and how we look for probable what we call the Dukan setups on expiry days, where we look at laggard option writers in a being caught upside down. So any more queries, guys? Yes, definitely we have huge volumes in options, and that is what we trade. We only look at weekly options, and we trade options which have got the highest value. So whatever concepts we have discussed here, we look at those concepts, and these concepts work on all time frames and all instruments. So we look for these concepts even on the option charts. No, the KRL is only for the market profile charts. In order flow chart, what happens is you already have this NPOC lines which are seen. So any POC line from previous bar which has not been tagged will automatically show up on the order flow charts. But the KRL feature right now is available only in the market profile charts. So hope you guys found this session informative, and we're looking forward to have many more such sessions in the coming weeks, and see how we can share and grow together. So in case you have any more queries, you can write to us at support@vtrender.com. You can DM me on Twitter. My Twitter ID is at Tutam Goel, and it is open for queries. We would be happy to get back to your get back with your answers. So we have an online trading community at VMR, the VTrender mentoring room, where all of us discuss these concepts, these setups, watch the order flow live, and look at probable trades. So that happens live, but it becomes difficult to post on Twitter on another platform. But definitely the aim would be to spread whatever we are sharing with latest examples. So thank you once again, guys, for joining in. Uh, that would be it for today. And let's have a nice evening and catch up again for the next breakout session at 5 p.m. on Thursday. Thank you, guys. Signing off for now.